On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Charlie Kirk, literally, this seems to become or is the turning point for this great country. I think a lot of us have been very focused on obviously Charlie passing. There's been a lot of discussions about antics within it, whether or not it was planned, whether or not he's still alive. There's all sorts of different stuff I've been hearing. But what has happened is a number of people reacted, certainly some people in very negative, grotesque ways. That's actually created a movement of itself. I want to share that. I've got a lot of video and a lot of stuff to share. I want to get into it, but Charlie Kirk's going to be a big part of it. Stuff going on with Israel. We've actually got a good chunk of the press conference that Marco Rubio and Netanyahu had today, and I think that's going to be an extraordinarily hot spot. I think hopefully Ukraine war is going to be winding down as much as a bunch of people don't want to see that happen. But the Israel stuff is very concerning. So it was good to see the questions asked and the answers both sides gave. We seem to be having their back. But again, we'll see where it moves in the big picture. Community honors the life of the 10-year-old Harper Moisky after Minneapolis church shooting. Just wanted to remind people that a number of people have been senselessly killed lately by crazy people on the left. So there was one more. Now, I got a bunch of stuff for Charlie Kirk. Let's get that ball rolling. So chilling new video shows Charlie Kirk suspect Tyler Robinson casing the campus hours before the assassination. They actually have him walking in front of some lady. Her Ring doorbell got it or whatever the heck. He came by in his car initially and then walked by wearing these clothes, which he, of course, changed before he did the shooting. He was wearing all black. Not a reference to the Kiwi rugby team by any means. But yeah, so the lady, I don't know, she's freaking out. She's like, I can't believe a murderer was walking in front of my house. Alleged Charlie Kirk assassin was in a romantic relationship with this roommate, this transgender individual. They are talking, he is, whatever, talking to the FBI, and they're being cooperative. So this is not obviously going to work well for the individual in jail. My understanding is he is on basically suicide watch. But at the moment, I've got a story saying that somewhere, but we'll skip past it once we get there. But yeah, he's obviously not in a good place mentally. I think we could probably assume that. Cash Patel says he can report today that the DNA from the towel on the screwdriver is actually the individual that we believe it is.
We flexed all resources the FBI had and surged multiple air assets as soon as this shooting occurred. We were cycling in agents, evidence response technicians, hostage rescue technicians, and special operators in and out of Utah, cycling evidence back and forth on these FBI planes as soon as we could so that there was no delay. And what we did, once I got there, along with the deputy on the ground around 5 p.m. local on September 11th, was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area where the firearm was discarded, and the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. I even walked into the wooded area in the ravine, so I knew from my investigative experience what I could bring to the table and what decisions I needed to make. And having the support of President Trump and the full support of the White House was what we needed for these resources to happen. And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
Yeah, exactly. So we're figuring out more and more, obviously. Now, there's a lot of people that, again, believe this guy's a patsy and stuff. I don't know. We saw him on the roof. I don't kind of feel like that was the case. Also, his father turned him in. That's not typical patsy type stuff either, but whatever. Again, it's not worth fighting over in my mind anyways. This is, we understand what we understand. Speculation is speculation. But here is Kash Patel talking more about what they have here, his left-wing ideologies leading into a lot of this stuff, obviously. I mean, as we've come to find, the left seems to be fond of violence, that's for sure.
And one more point on forensics. We were able to obtain in record time the text message chain between the suspect and his live-in partner, as well as other critical cellular information from our CAS team that analyzes cell phone data towers in the area to pinpoint the locations of the suspect and other individuals he was speaking with. This is critical information that the FBI processed and got to prosecutors so they can lawfully use it in a court of law. And our investigation, our interviews continue, but we've learned some shocking things when we spoke to his family and friends as well.
You want to share them? Those shocking things?
Sure. And my job as FBI director is not to speak to motive, is to speak to the facts. And that's what I'm going to do. His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, and even more so in these last couple of years. And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions. But I believe in this instance of such public importance, the public has a right to know. And I've told you I'm committed to transparency, and that's what I'm doing here today.
Why didn't that...
Yeah, this guy's definitely not in a good place. Thousands gathered at the Kennedy Center last night for the Charlie Kirk Vigil. To my understanding, President Trump gave him the Medal of Honor, or whatever the Medal of Freedom, or whatever the one is for civilians. But that was bestowed upon Charlie Kirk on his in passing, or what they always say, posthumously, right? So a lot of things to understand right now. We are being taken advantage of by Russia, China, who knows, deep state basically. And they're desperately trying to use what happened and all the negativity that exists out there. One, to spur on more negativity because they realize it's pissing us off. And two, to try to literally directly piss us off so we'll react. And what they're trying to do is emotionally get us on the right, conservative, center, whatever, to lash out. They desperately want a civil war. Problem is, we're not really wired like that. That's just, you literally got to piss us off so badly for us to finally go kinetic that I don't think they're even close, frankly. I know there's a lot of us that are hurt, frustrated, angry, but to the point where you would be willing to end up dead or in prison, that's saying a lot. I'll tell you that much. Trump is talking about more people that are under investigation in this particular Charlie Kirk situation.
Organizations on the left, investigating, we talked about this last week.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
Do you plan on investigating?
We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation. They're already under major investigation. A lot of the people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
They're already under investigation?
Already under investigation.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of those who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? What? Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
Any progress on the Fed chairman, sir?
Well, other than I don't like him.
No, but
he's incompetent. The Fed chairman's incompetent. Sure, I have three people.
Yeah, trying to get him off on the Fed chairman thing, which I actually didn't pull that audio. We have it, but, I came across it. Tulsi Gabbard had some tough words for the empty people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder, and there were many of them, but I do have, like I said, a turning point. I do have some good news for you, I think. You'll see. But anyways, let's get there. Tulsi Gabbard talking about these crazy lunatics on the left.
Those who are full of anger and hopelessness and hate right now, some of them protesting outside this hall today, unfortunately, they do not have the spiritual happiness that Charlie experienced. They're empty. And this is where their anger is coming from. It is their rejection of God, their desire to be God, and therefore they have made God their enemy. I have hope today. that every one of us will do our best to shine the light of God's love in our lives and in our work, that we will treat each other with aloha, respect, and stand strong and unshakable in the defense of our God-given rights and freedoms. May God bless you all. May God bless this great nation. Aloha.
Yeah, may God bless all of us, frankly, for that matter, because we all need it right now. All of us need it right now. Jamie Kennedy posted this. He said, just so we're clear. September 14th, 2025 is when he posted this at 1:59 p.m., whatever time zone that was. It's been 4 days since the public execution of Charlie Kirk, and my feelings have not subsided. They have only gotten more intense. The extreme sadness, the rage, the sick, gutted emptiness, then the realization comes. The realization of what this death has exposed. Never in the history of my life has it been so easy to see who is good and who is evil. It's given me extreme clarity. There is no gray anymore. To all the people dancing on the corpse of a man who was publicly slaughtered in front of his family for the whole world to see, just know that we see you vividly and you are vile. Whoever raised you failed miserably. That's for shiz. Here's an individual working for FEMA. OMG, I'm not going to play it. It's not that good. It's kind of stupid. And then they just repeat themselves. Basically, this dude sort of talks about how people sort of see this as a joke within FEMA. This dude has lost his job. There you go. Just basically being an idiot. Texas University student arrested, expelled for mocking Charlie Kirk assassination. F around and find out, says Governor Abbott. I'm going to play it just because we're going to play a few things that are uncomfortable today.
Homie dead. Fuck your homie dead. Fuck your homie dead. He got shot in the head. Fuck your homie dead. Yeah, fuck your homie dead.
Evil is real, people, and it kind of looks like that. Evil. Evil. Murder is bad. She is evil. Have not said. Why are you being so hateful?
Why are you so hateful? Why are you so hateful? Yeah.
Hey, can somebody tell her to back up?
Can you
please?
not put the camera in my face?
I'm sitting here. You walked up to me.
Okay, well,
I don't want this. I said rest in peace.
Okay, and I can
just
do
leave
this
it
too.
alone. Please don't come after
Ma'am,
me.
you've been
I want to be left alone.
I'm not emotional, ma'am. Don't tell me what I am and what I'm not. You can get out of my face because I can tell you what you are, but you won't like it.
You're being aggressive. You're being aggressive.
I'm not being aggressive. My voice is
You are
very
being
calm. You're calling me
aggressive.
aggressive because I'm a black woman.
Not at all.
You are. We're not. I'm very.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it just cracks me up, the standard stuff. Anyway, there's a picture of her getting arrested. That feels any better to see. Man just arrested also after vandalizing Charlie Kirk's memorial. He gets arrested here on the spot. You might enjoy that as well. So we've got no audio on this particular one. So yeah, they take him down to the ground. Then cops get involved. There they go. And they'll have him up against a wall here in a second. And we will feel great rejoicement. Rejoice and be glad. Yours is the kingdom of God. Right? There they are. And that's what happens. F around and find out. I'm a douche. Charlie Kirk, assassination suspect, is under special watch. We'd mentioned that already. This is where I think the turning point really is happening. I don't know. I'm going to grab like 5 of these and play them. There's a crap ton of them. There's a crap ton of these. I'm just going to grab like 5 of them. Hopefully they play okay. We'll see.
As somebody who is on the left and has voted Democrat my whole adult life, I just wanted to tell you guys I am praying for Charlie Kirk. I do not condone what happened to him. I am not celebrating what happened to him. I think it is tragic. I think it is disgusting. He is somebody's father. He is somebody's son. I don't have to agree with him to respect his right to live. I don't have to agree with him to protect his right to free speech. I'm praying for him. That's terrible. And the person who did that does not represent me. Love y'all. Keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, she knows. Here's another great example.
To all the other Democrats out there, yes, I am a Democrat. But what just happened, what I just heard, what I've been seeing, I don't agree with any of it. You guys should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. The fact that you can make fun or make light of this and think there aren't going to be consequences. And it doesn't have to be physical or anything like that. There are going to be consequences. And let me tell you, you guys have no idea of the box that you just opened. Because I can see it plain as day. It makes me ashamed I am a Democrat. But that ends today, because I'm no longer one. Y'all can go to hell.
So you're starting to catch a little bit of the drift?
So breaking fucking news, Charlie Kirk got shot in the fucking neck. That was the last bastion. I can't be a liberal no fucking more. You see the fucking comments? I hope the gun is okay. The same fucking people asking for moral decency. I cannot in good faith align myself with you guys anymore. I once had a headache. You'll be alright. Cause you don't agree with him politically? Okay. Whatever happens next, in retaliation, whoever did that shit, I hope they throw the whole fucking book at you. The whole fucking book at you. Why I did not agree with his views, when you put violence in the fucking middle of the equation, all this shit goes out the window. Everything that you stand for goes out the fucking window. Who's next? Candace Owens? Take that shit as a warning. Stop doing the fucking public panels, bro. Stop doing all that. Oh, what do you think about him? These people are fucking insane. Oh, well, both sides are... No, these people are fucking insane. Dude, things are gonna get very... Do not speak politics at all in public. Do not do that shit. These people are fucking unwell. Protecting fucking dickhead stabbing Ukrainian girls in a bus. Protecting fucking shooters just because they think they're the other gender. You people make me fucking sick.
Yeah, 100% right. I think this is one, I don't know if this is the one I want to skip or the other one, so we'll find out.
So far, I've seen videos of just the left being pro-unaliving political opponents. Whether that be Trump, J.D. Vance, people celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk today. It's just disgusting behavior. The fact that I have been a part of the left for 7 years, I never thought we'd get to the point where I would have to look at my own party and be like, oh, hold on, I can't support you anymore because everything that you are doing right now is against your political viewpoints and your values and beliefs. To sit here and promote gun violence against your opponents is wrong. And it arguably makes you worse than the other side because you're basically saying these people deserve to be unalived because our political beliefs are more important and should stand and should have more value than a human life. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me at all. No.
No was right. No was right. And again, I'm not going to play any more, but just to illustrate how many of these there are. This is Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk did so much in his martyrdom as well, unfortunately. I mean, it's a really tough way to have to learn a lesson. But it seems to have made a difference. White House is planning a security boost on civil terrorism fears. They're expecting to spend something like $58 million in extra security. Obviously, concerns about doing any outdoor events right now. I don't know if that's ever going to be a good idea. Trump shares the call for Charlie Kirk Act to hold media accountable. First off, I don't know. I listen to this. I'm going to speak honestly here for a second, okay? So right off the bat, she's got a tongue ring. She's got red hair. She's got multiple piercings. She is left-leaning looking as left-leaning goes. Now, what she's saying is kind and sweet as far as in regards to Charlie Kirk Act, but what she is actually asking for is censorship. Or anybody that says anything that's maybe not totally true, which if you think about our conspiracy stuff and some of the stuff we make claims about, or even Emmanuel Macron's partner, that would lead us to lawsuits. Anybody could sue us. Anybody that's a content creator could get sued into oblivion for anything that people deem to be untrue. That's horrific. Now, I get the we got to make mainstream media tell the truth. Why? Why is there such a need to do that? If you know somebody's a liar, do you continue talking to them or do you stop talking to them? Why do they have to be forced out of lying for you to feel okay? What, so you can talk to them? So you can watch mainstream media? Why do they lie? Don't watch them anymore. So, I mean, of course, as a guy that's one of the people that tries to do news, but there's certainly a number of great platforms doing news right now. Some much better than I. I just put my own spin on it. That's the only thing I'm really bringing to the table. So I don't like this idea at all. I don't care what you call it. It's usually, if they try to name it something like that, it's not a good sign. So in all honesty, I actually feel like this is someone trying to push censorship to us in a way that we'll accept it. That's what it feels like. Now, whether she's intentionally doing that, playing a part in this, someone influenced her to do this, I don't know. I'm not going to play it, though. That's how strongly I feel about it. Yeah, Donald Trump retruthed it. He didn't make a comment. He didn't say, yeah, we'll do that. Nothing. So, again, you guys can look it up if you want. It's on Trump's Truth. I like the idea that they're trying to call it the Charlie Kirk Act, but I dislike very much what they're attempting to do. And it's, again, to make anybody liable that held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. That is 100% left-leaning narrative that they were saying during COVID, that they were saying during elections, that they were saying during everything. This lady, who reeks of lefty, is talking about this. Censorship to the max. Again, people are very emotional right now, and will go down all sorts of different paths. It is what it is. RFK Jr. wowed a lot of people. I haven't actually listened to these, but one of them, I think I got three different little snippets of his. I think one of them gets everybody chanting USA, USA. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. But he just revealed that Charlie Kirk was the primary architect of this unification with President Trump.
And over the next couple of years, our friendship blossomed. He ended up being the primary architect of my unification with President Trump, which I did my endorsement at his rally, at the Turning Point rally in Scottsdale. And he was the one who put the sparklers on the stage when I showed him. He made a big show of it, but
that was pretty cool. And that was supposedly his idea, to put the sparklers, which I think we all thought was pretty damn cool when they came up on stage. RFK Jr. says his 17-year-old niece is now taking a Bible to college with her, following the footsteps of Charlie Kirk.
Yesterday, my 17-year-old niece left for Europe to go to college. And while she was packing, her mother, Amaryllis, my daughter-in-law, noticed that she had put a Bible in her suitcase. And Amaryllis was curious about it. And she asked her, and Zoe said to her, I want to live like Charlie Kirk.
We are experiencing a radicalized change in our spirituality on this planet in huge ways. Charlie he's done what nobody else could do. It's only going to work on a few people that even know this reference, but it was the concept of like when Obi-Wan Kenobi was telling Darth Vader, you strike me down, I will become more powerful than ever before. And he was able to work with Luke directly, right? Like it created this crazy thing that Darth Vader didn't have to worry about prior. And I think it's a similar analogy or metaphor to what's happened with Charlie Kirk. He's become greater than even what he was before, which was pretty darn remarkable. And here we are living through this. It's again, it sucks that we had to walk through this fire together, but at the same time, appreciating what this fire is doing, it should never be lost. It should never be lost. Charlie did us an enormous favor.
And I had a conversation once with Charlie where we were talking about the danger that we both faced from challenging entrenched interests. And he asked me if I was scared to die. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those... and chief among those is losing our constitutional rights and having our children raised in slavery. And I said to him at that time, I said, sometimes our only consolation is that we can die with our boots on. We can die fighting for these things. Charlie gave his life so that the rest of us would not have to suffer those fates worse than death. Now it's our job, he's no longer there to lead us, to rush in and fill the breach and win this battle for our country, for God, and for our families. Thank you.
There's no way Charlie could have ever done this alive. Not like this. This is Huntington Beach, California, which is a very red area here in Orange County, but still, it's California. This is a Charlie Kirk vigil that was done out here. I've been to that beach so many times. Love that beach. Beautiful beach. This beach I've only been to once or twice. But this is one of the most famous beaches. This is not a Republican area, but this is another huge turnout. This is in Venice. Oh, this is Venice, Florida. Sorry, this might be red. I thought this was Venice Beach here. Needless to say, this is in Florida. Big deal, folks. Big deal. We've come so far to get to this point, you know? It's been a war. And I think a lot of times we forget. I mean, Trump got shot. Can you imagine if Trump's head exploded on TV that day? Can you imagine what that would have done to us? We weren't ready yet. I mean, I don't feel like we're ready even now, but here we are going through something not even nearly as extreme, but so close. Here's Speaker Johnson talking about it.
Adopt these practices together, and we turn down the rhetoric. We cease with this idea that policy disputes are somehow an existential threat to democracy or the republic. We stop calling one another names. I mean, calling people Nazis and fascists is not helpful. Look, there are some deranged people in society, and when they see leaders using that kind of language, so often now, increasingly, it spurs them on to action. We have to recognize that reality and address it appropriately. And I'm heartened to know, Major, and to see that many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle are stepping up and saying that and addressing it. I think this could be a turning point, frankly, to use Charlie's term, for the country. And I hope that's true.
That was actually kind of what inspired the thumbnail, believe it or not. Probably easy to believe, considering it's almost exactly what I talked about. At least I'm giving the truth where it's due. This is something that's causing a lot of consternation amongst many people. Again, don't know what to make of it, and I'm not going to try to figure it out, right? This is something that obviously the FBI is looking into. I'm 100% sure of that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, or MJ Truth, sorry, posted this. I think it's someone different, not Marjorie. There's some individual named Mushy at Tally Hale Album, I guess, is where they hail from. Again, they've made their account inactive or something. They don't think they've gotten destroyed by X, but they posted Donald Trump December 14th, and they posted that like the day before he got shot, I want to say. Yeah, September, wherever it was. I think they say somewhere down in here. Don't forget, let's see. Yeah, let me hop out of here. Oh, frick. Give me a second to get back to where I was so I can be less stupid. So an ex-user by the name of Tally Hall Album allegedly wrote the following on September 3rd, 2025. It'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. This same user then wrote on September 13th, Donald Trump, December 14th. The person who owns the account has deleted their account or possibly deactivated it rather than suspended. I don't know where Trump is supposed to go on the 14th, or was that wasn't the day he got shot, because that was in July, right? Ephesians 6:11, June 11th, or no, that was the time. Sorry, 6:11 was the time. Anyway, I think it was July something, right? So because of that, I could not verify the above message myself, yada, yada. So if this is somebody that knows something, there's a lot of people that have been talking about this, so this individual, obviously, the FBI is looking into. I wouldn't doubt that for a half a second. I want to remind you, we got a really cool sale. They just reached out to me today. Mike Lindell and I are going to do monthly meetings now. We're only going to meet once a month. I just think he's going into the holidays, and it was getting too much, or hopefully that's all it is. But yeah, needless to say, we won't have him on as much, but we're still getting some sweet deals. Free shipping for our audience. That's incredible. Also, 6-piece towel sets are back. I believe they're doing them like $29.98, $39.98. What are they? I'd have to open the email. But yeah, they're... maybe I can do that over here real quick. Let's see if I can do that without causing too much pain in my arse, which is always entirely possible. All right, there it is. Done. Let's check it out. Of course, why are you going to be like that? Why do you got to be like that? So, yeah, cool. It does let me. Really? Yeah, $29.88. Really friggin' small. So let's see, we got the My Pillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, even kings. Only $29.88. Once they're gone, they're gone. And then my towels are finally back again in stock. Those are, $39.98. Those are normally $70, and they're at $39.98. These towels are awesome. I cannot say enough about the towels. The towels are incredible. Best towel I've ever used. It doesn't feel like any other towel I've ever used. In fact, it feels a little different in a weird way. Like you go and you feel towels and they feel thick and plush. Almost so when you rub your hands on them, it's almost like there's a film, right? You sometimes feel that, right? Like they've got a whole bunch of fabric softener in them or something weird. These towels are soft. You touch them and it's like a bathrobe. Like they're soft in like a natural kind of way. And they work so incredibly well when it comes to how they absorb water. It'll blow your mind. They're just literally the best towel. Everything they make is friggin' awesome. Pillows is what I fell in love with. I love their pillows. And of course, obviously, their sheets are incredible. I've got the Giza ones. I don't actually have the Percale, but that's a great deal, and they're going to be closing those out, so definitely don't miss out on that. The Giza sheets are just really nice. High thread count. Just, again, the deep pockets are the things. If you've never used MyPillow sheets, that'll be the first thing that you'll trip on, because I had never ever used bedding sheets that actually just fit so easily. Like normally it was a pain in the ass. Maybe I had a weird size mattress. I don't know. I've had numerous mattresses in my life. I had twin and I had a queen, and then I've got a king now. And so, these are easy to get on and always have been. They were with my queen. They are with my king. Like there's no difference there. But yeah, sheets in the past have never been that easy. So incredible. Also, the slippers are awesome. You want to get those while the supplies still last. The beach towels as well. Again, it's that same quality towel, and they're really big. They're really big. They're like a full-size body pillow. Incredible. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get that free shipping and $100 in digital coupes. That's pretty incredible stuff. That's right. You want to go to mypillow.com/OTF. Once again, mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. So these are the largest immigrant groups in America. I'm not trying to start any craziness, just giving some actual numbers. So from the Americas, there's about 25.3 million people they figure here in this country. Mexico makes up about 10.9 million of that, and then there's broken down between everybody else in the Americas. Asia and Oceania, 14.9 million. China's about 2.2 million of that. Oddly, the Philippines, about 2.1 million of that. It doesn't surprise me. There are a crap ton of Filipino people here in this country. Lovely group of people, by the way. Indians at 2.9 million, which I would say seems to be the biggest group outside of everybody else. Europe, there's about 4.8 million people and about 2.8 million people in Africa. So that is kind of the breakdown in general of how our population is, right? Now, Donald Trump truthed this out. Federal government, under my auspices as President of the United States of America, and interesting, uses camel case there, has stepped into the complete criminal mess that was Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Because of this, D.C. has gone from one of the most dangerous and murder-ridden cities in the USA and even around the world to one of the safest in just a few weeks. The place is absolutely booming with restaurants, stores, and businesses packed, and for the first time in decades, virtually no crime. It has been a beautiful thing to watch, but now, under pressure from the radical left Democrats, Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has presided over the violent criminal takeover of our capital for years, has informed the federal government that the Metropolitan Police Department will no longer cooperate with ICE in removing and relocating dangerous illegal aliens. If I allowed this to happen, crime would come roaring back. To the people and businesses of Washington, D.C., don't worry. I am with you, and I won't allow this to happen. I'll call a national emergency and federalize if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Trump also truthed this out in regards to Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul of New York has endorsed the little communist Zohran Mamdani running for mayor of New York. This is rather shocking development and a very bad one for New York City. How can such a thing happen? Washington will be watching this situation very closely. No reason to be sending good money after bad. President Trump. Threatening basically, we're going to pull funding for New York in every way, shape, and form. Every way, shape, and form. Homeless camps are morphing into larger homeless cities in Los Angeles. Literally, they're just making these encampments. One of them supposedly has a tennis court and a barbecue. They probably stole all this stuff. I don't know how they did a tennis court. I don't even know what the hell they would do with a tennis court, frankly. I mean, if you steal rackets, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it'd be a weapon, possibly. At least that's what I would think. Here's a bridge here in Los Angeles as well. It's the 6th Street Bridge, and it's a nightmare.
When the 6th Street Bridge opened in 2022, it quickly became one of the city's biggest attractions. Now, a little more than 3 years later, some say it's a bit of a mess. In a post on X, LAPD's Lillian Carranza with the Central Bureau said in part, quote, "Our 6th Street Bridge in Los Angeles no longer lights up at night, and it is covered with graffiti. Thieves repeatedly steal the copper wiring and have left the bridge in the dark. Patrol has been increased and graffiti removal requested." Charles lives in the Arts District and walks the bridge often.
This used to be a beautiful, clean bridge, but now you look at it, there's so much graffiti everywhere.
If you walk up and down the bridge today, you'll see some of the sidewalks and the bridge's barriers are covered in graffiti. And so are the bases of almost every arch on this bridge, too. In a bit of good news, LA Council member Isabel Jurado's office said today they've now hired the Los Angeles Conservation Corps to help clean up the bridge. This morning, crews removed graffiti on 6 of the arches. But as the officer noted, graffiti is just part of the problems on this $588 million bridge. If you take a walk with me on this bridge, you'll see that a lot of these high voltage boxes have had their tops removed, and people have been stealing copper wire. That's why the lights are out.
The bridge used to be lit up, and now the lights are gone. So it'd be a real joy to have the lights come back on the bridge one day.
Yeah, so again, many movements on the left on these crazy cities that need desperately to be resolved. And these this left-leaning communism stuff, it's just got to stop. And again, this turning point thing, I think we're actually probably seeing that actually happening right now. Long Beach, they're canceling their Dia de los Muertos parade over ice fears. Yeah, kind of funny. This is oddly probably their biggest. This is like one of the biggest deals in the Mexican culture. I mean, there's another, I think, like 4th of July type event, right? The Independence Day. It's not Mardi Gras or Cinco de Mayo. That's actually kind of a crap holiday in Mexico. I mean, we celebrate it here in America way more than they do in Mexico by any stretch. But this, the Dia de los Muertos, oh my Lord, this is Halloween, basically, and then the All Saints Day on November 1st. Like, that's a really, really big deal. Really, really big deal. So that's been canceled. Maniac New York City driver who mowed down teen girl after she rejected lewd advances asked the cops, "Did I kill her?" He very much did. He also got beat up by the chick's stepfather, I believe it was. But he did kill her. He ran her over with his car. He ran down a sidewalk. This was the 16-year-old that he was making lewd comments at, and one could assume why some of those, not that they were justified, just, yeah, for a 16-year-old, holy crap. But it was very sad, very, very sad. And yeah, this was his vehicle. He fled the scene and then came back, and somehow cops were there, and he's like, no, I got beat up, and then I crashed into a pole and whatever. The dude was drunk. It was 4 hours later, and he was still blew a .137. So yeah, he was extraordinarily drunk when this happened. Mowed down 3 people got hit of the 4. One of them killed. I think the others are in pretty serious conditions right now. So this is one more example of somebody that's likely been let out of jail multiple times, we've come to find. Resident Evil actor allegedly shot female driver in wild road rage incident that forced lockdown in New Jersey. I don't know if you recognize this guy. He's, I guess, more in the Resident Evil video games. He's apparently one of the actors for that stuff. Some sort of road rage incident. Pulls a gun out, shoots it out his window, shoots it at the lady's car, hits her in the face, they say, but it seems to be more like maybe a wound from the glass or something like that. She said, "I've been shot in the face," but like if you've been shot in the face, it would have been different. So she injured her nose, but whatever. She's very lucky that the dude didn't kill her. He's been arrested. That's also happening. So again, a lot of crazy people are all over the place. It seems. Stockton University, right? What is this? Where's Stockton University? Is it Stockton, California, or New Jersey? Sorry. Yeah, New Jersey. There you go. Man suspected of shooting a critically injuring North Georgia officer is now in custody as well. This dude got shot pretty hard. Nasty, nasty stuff. So yeah, critical condition. He was shot while on duty. Shot in the throat. Ugh. Anyway, they caught this guy. Again, craziness is out in force. 2 men arrested after incendiary device found under the news media vehicle in Utah. It was a Fox News media truck, too. They put 2 incendiary devices underneath it. Or, I'm sorry, an incendiary device underneath it. And they were both arrested. Now, here's the fun part. You're going to love it when I find the dudes' names. I'm sure I'll mispronounce them, but assuming I find them. Where are they? 2 men, ages 58 and 31, were arrested. Oh, did you guys take out the names? Oh, they did. Where the hell was it? The initial thing had their names in it. FBI identified. Oh, they took their names out. They're Middle Eastern names. They're both, and they were related. They had both had the same last name. They had the 5 names and shit. Yeah, these were Middle Eastern dudes that did the incendiary device in Utah under a Fox News vehicle. Yeah, they've been arrested, of course. Good God. New bill could punish lenient judges following Charlotte train stabbing. So we've got legislation that they're trying to push through called the Jail Act, introduced Friday by Rep. Randy Fine from Florida, Republican, of course. Zarutska was allegedly murdered by DeCarlos Brown Jr., a career criminal with a lengthy rap sheet who had repeatedly avoided serious jail time. Fine said that the bill is designed to hold judges accountable for failing to protect the public from repeat offenders. This bill would allow civil penalties on judges who fail to impose bail on repeat offenders who go on to commit violent crimes. As promised, I just introduced the Jail Act and will hold corrupt judges accountable for releasing repeat offenders back onto the streets. Now, I doubt this is going to have some legal hurdles to go through. I want to say, actually, I think it's probably legal. But, they're going to fight this hard, so we'll see what happens. But good job, Congressman Randy Fine. Hopefully we can get that passed. DEA, they seized 7,500 kilograms of coke, arrested 617 members of the Sinaloa cartel, and so this has been a global effort that they've done here. So major, 7,500 kilograms of coke. Good God, that's a butt ton of coke. Yes, 617 arrests, 480 kilograms of fentanyl powder, 714,707 counterfeit pills, 2,209 kilograms of methamphetamine, 7,469 kilograms of cocaine, and 16.55 kilograms of heroin. Damn. Sinaloa cartel is Sinaloa, I think is probably the proper way to say that. The Sinaloa cartel is going down big time, it seems. And yeah, the boat that got blown up in the water, it wouldn't surprise me if it was tied into them. It could have been Tren de Aragua, which is what they were claiming anyway. So who knows? But these guys a war on drugs has finally gotten legit because it's a war on the actual deep state, not the BS that we've claimed we've been at war at for 100,000 million years. Federal appeals court blocks order from Obama judge mandating taxpayer funds the Planned Parenthood clinics. There's actually 3 Biden judges that were on the appeals court that said, no, we're going to stay your order, forcing them to pay the money until this thing works its way through the courts. No, we're not letting the lower court force payment. And again, once the money's paid, it can't be pulled back. And this is where that was the right decision to make. And so good. I mean, regardless of what side, at least the Biden people are erring on the side of law, because otherwise the Supreme Court's going to immediately get involved and be like, no, you can't do that. It's stupid. So I don't know if there's meetings. You got to wonder if there's like monthly meetings with like the Supreme Court that the main justices from each location are a part of. It's got to be somehow managed. And I'm sure some sort of discussion's been had. Like, look, y'all can't do that. Like, we got to follow the law. That's what we do. You can't put your opinions into the law. Of course, then Jumanji opens her mouth, right? Texas GOP Senator Cornyn is holding a single-digit lead over Paxton. I hope this is just bullshit polls, but Texas, man, make noise. You guys got to get John Cornyn out of there. I mean, I like Paxton as far as your attorney general. I don't know if he's going to be a good senator, but I know John Cornyn's a pile of trash. So we need to get that guy out of there. Out the F of there. John Bolton's personal email accounts were hacked by a foreign entity. So on top of the fact that he was pushing stuff that was top secret through his private email server, which you should never do because of the potentiality of somebody intercepting it, it was, in fact, intercepted. The FBI has now come out with this information, a 41-page document used by federal investigators to justify the raid on Bolton's Maryland home last month. This suggests that the hacking incident gave the FBI reason to believe the former Trump administration official mishandled classified records. Part of me wonders if they didn't think we'd actually go after this guy because he was Trump administration, but we hated him when he was in Trump's administration. Well, we disliked him when he was in Trump's administration. At least I disliked him. You might have hated him. Yeah, that dude's toast. Interesting money stuff. I don't know if it's still happening. Gold and silver. Gold broke 3,700. Silver broke 43. We'll see when we get to the tab if that's still the case. But I was like, holy crap. That's pretty fantastic. Needless to say. I say it anyway, so. Mexico's going to raise tariffs on cars from China to 50% in a major overhaul. See, it's funny, we've got our country trying to say we're not allowed to pass tariffs, which obviously we're going to have to be able to, when you've got all these other countries in the world that can. So why can't we? I mean, it's just the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. Anyone trying to say that we don't have a right to do tariffs is stupid. Mexico raises tariffs on cars from China, though, because China's been trying to flood the market with cheap cars, and it's killing Mexico's auto industry. So they understand it, just like we do. Can't have it. Can't let China flood with cheap goods because they're trying to offload crap that they're financing themselves, or at least they're helping with, right? House GOP eyes a stopgap in November to avert a shutdown. They're talking about another CR, continuing resolution. That only needs a 50+% vote in the Senate. Obviously, the House is not the problem. So this is probably how they're going to do it. They're calling it, quote, a clean CR. We'll see how clean it actually is and how much pork ends up being in there. And, you know, if Massey votes for it, then, you know, I'll be surprised, right? Obviously, Massey's not going to vote for it, but so we'll see if we can avert the shutdown. Trump truthed this out. Subject to SEC approval, companies and corporations should no longer be forced to report on a quarterly basis, quarterly reporting, but rather to report on a 6-month basis. This will save money and allow managers to focus on properly running their companies. Did you ever hear the statement that China has a 50 to 100 year view on management of a company, whereas we run our companies on a quarterly basis? Not good. He's right. Truth this out as well. The big trade meeting in Europe between the United States of America and China has gone very well. It will be concluding shortly. A deal was also reached on a certain company that young people in our country very much wanted to save. TikTok, if you're not sure. They will be very happy. I will be speaking to President Xi on Friday. The relationship remains a very strong one. President Donald Trump. I'm not sure if he's talked to him yet. This might be the first talk, or maybe he's spoken to him and he still hasn't seen him in person. I know I don't think that's actually happening yet, but it's interesting, right, for sure. Hopefully that happens. Donald Trump truthed this. Too late. Must cut interest rates now and bigger than he had in mind. Housing will soar. President Donald Trump. Yeah, and our housing market's in tough shape right now. China's top market watchdog rules NVIDIA violated antitrust law. Some China State Administration for Market Regulation, SAMR, they ruled that the company violated anti-monopoly laws in connection with a 2020 deal. It had to do with a purchase of, if only I could find, Mellanox is the name of the company. Mellanox Technologies. And China is not really given any specifics about what they did in this antitrust thing. It's funny, it's NVIDIA. We know China wants chips, and they're probably trying to figure out a way to get around what's been happening and trying to do it from like national, world legal standpoint, if you will, like the world court. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen the way they want. Trump inherited a turd of an economy. That is true. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Everyone expected Trump to immediately turn things around, and that's insane. But what he's done is so many things that are getting us moving in the right direction. And again, the restated revealed 911,000 jobs that were revised downward, which were all from Biden's presidency. All but like a couple months of that number. So those numbers were abysmal, and they were hiding that from us all along. So that was already how it was. Now we're just finding out the truth of it and finding out how bad it really is. So Trump, I think, is doing everything he can to get us moving in the right direction. But yeah, he inherited a pile of crap, one could say. Yeah, we are still above 3,700. Silver still above 43. That is freaking awesome. That's awesome. That's, I'll tell you what, it's just a little more proof to what I've been saying. If you're in a 401k or an IRA and you don't want to stay in that system, I get the Dow and all that's up a little bit, but inflation is not our friend. Especially we'll see what happens with rates. If they actually lower the rates, which everyone's saying they're going to. If they don't, I think the stock market's going to have a really tough day. If they do, this definitely runs the chance of sparking some inflation. And we'll see what happens. We are in a tough place. Like the economy's not moving fast enough, but if we kind of overdo it, we're definitely going to see problems. Whatever the case is, protection of that is protecting your wealth, essentially, is what you're doing. A better way to look at it is your buying power, really. One way to look at it is, a suit, a tailored suit right now costs roughly $3,700 to make right now in today's prices. Maybe a year and a half from now, it'll cost $4,000, $4,500, right? Back in, I don't know, 1910. That cost something like closer to, I want to say it's $17, $18, I think was the initial exchange for gold before the Fed got involved. I think they turned it to 30 and then instantly went higher or whatever the case was. But it's cost the same amount of coins to get a tailored suit. 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce gold coin would have bought you a fully tailored suit back in 1910, would have bought you a fully tailored suit today, and will buy you a fully tailored suit a year from now. It doesn't care what the price of the suit is. This holds the buying power of the suit in this coin. Now, again, you're not going to buy suits, probably. Maybe you will. But you'll buy other stuff. Now, there is a multiplier that's kicking in with silver. Silver's been underappreciated for a long time, and the price is expected to at least hit 50, but many are suggesting that the overall, within a year or two, we could easily be seeing $100 silver. There is a lot of profit still baked into this, guys. The stock market's got a lot of risk, a lot of bubble baked into it. The world is going to have a bad day. The world stock markets are going to crash. Europe is about broke right now. These stock markets will crash hard. They kind of have to. Get out of that system. Get out of that system. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, let's call it diversify. Diversify as much of that buying power out as you can. Now, they're going to suggest 50%. That's up to you, how you want to do it. They're going to give you up to 10% free silver of whatever you divest out of. They're going to give you up to 10% of free silver. Remember, it's so undervalued. Plus, they can do it tax-free and penalty-free. They are the best at it. They've got customer service that is bar none, the best I've ever dealt with. They've got DocuSign so they can make it happen quickly. They're going to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and they're going to make sure that you're happy with every step of the way. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Do not wait until it's too late. It takes a week, 2 to 3 to get through all this, especially if you got to get round up stuff, right? If you don't have your Fidelity or your BlackRock investments, like it's going to be dependent on you, how quickly they can go. They've got multiple suppliers and it's physical metals put into a trust. They've got multiple suppliers. They can handle this. They can handle whatever size you're bringing to them. And you want to break it up in different ways, gold and silver, certainly should think about that. Silver's a little easier to spend. Gold is an easier storage of wealth. So you sometimes want to have a mixture of those two things. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that silly system before they get out of you. And they don't like you at all. American scientific establishment. Oh, yeah, this was this is a pretty good little snippet here. These guys are talking about Fauci and just the way that mainstream media has lied to us and stuff like that. And yeah, here we are. Science has lied to us. Everything, just all the arbitrary made-up stuff that they did during COVID. Just, again, the truth is coming out, and we're using actual science now. We're using actual studies, and we're figuring out some actual stuff.
Well, also, like, this question of, like, how many deaths, and the point they're trying to make is that COVID killed a huge number of people, and it killed a lot more people in the United States than in virtually every other country, if not every other country by percentage, which, okay, let's assume that's true. Like, huge numbers of people died of COVID in the United States. The people who were in charge, it wasn't really Biden or Trump. It was the scientific establishment that has run science and health policy in the United States for decades. It was Tony Fauci and everybody on down. They all got their way with everything. These moronic policies of masks and forced vaccines, and remember that idiotic 6-foot social distancing, which turned out to be a complete joke, school lockdowns without regard to the consequences, lies about the origins of COVID. Everybody understands, except these people in Washington, that the people that they want to venerate as the experts who you cannot question, who you cannot touch, that if you question at all, you're being unscientific. It was those people who radically failed. And they didn't just fail because of error that was understandable. They failed because of arrogance and deceit. They banished any questioning up to the point where you got banned from the internet if you questioned any of these orthodoxies, including many of which that turned out to be completely false, not just questionable. So the anger and arrogance that they continue to maintain, like, how dare you question these numbers that have been handed down from, Mount Olympus, when so much of what they handed down turned out to be false, shows the kind of insularity that they cannot lose. Like, they just don't understand the American people don't trust them in these institutions any longer, including science, and for good reason.
Yeah, I don't trust them at all. They've completely destroyed that. U.S. official warns of a new deadly synthetic opioid from China. You're going to love this one. It's 50 times more potent than fentanyl. Yeah, fentanyl's already like crazy, right? So new synthetic opioid that China's now going to try to flood our markets with. And by the way, I mean, bad on China for sure. Shame on you, China. Shame, shame. Bad on us, man. Yeah, I get people, especially opioids. You get addicted to pain pills. It's it's a tough road. Tough road. And I know a lot of people that are in pain for all sorts of different reasons. So I get it. I get it a lot. I mean, I've had pain for an extended period of time, but not permanent pain. So I understand pain is a horrible thing. That's all I can say, right? It's a horrible thing. But yeah, we have an addiction problem in this country. That's concerning to me, right? That is very concerning to me. 50 times more potent than fentanyl. Good God. Anti-immigration AfD party is once again achieving record results in Eastern Germany. Germany is in a big change right now. England's in a big change right now. France is in a big change right now. The rest of Europe will follow what these three countries do, but they are going through a very painful process. Again, world stock markets, man, we are not far from the shiz hitting the fan, if you know what I mean. Far left extremists, they're claiming responsibility for Berlin's biggest blackout since the Cold War. 50,000 people left without power. The damage that was caused, they're expecting it's going to take them up to 2026 to even be able to fully make repairs. It said, quote, "We assume the group of perpetrators is from the left-wing extremist spectrum," said the Interior Senator. "So that means not from abroad, but from within the country." And these guys are, I think, taking credit for it. Berlin's Interior Senator Iris Sprenger said this letter that was taking claim for it was authentic. So yeah, they're experiencing something similar to kind of what we've had here too, frankly. Netanyahu, Qatar violated its UN Sanctuary Council resolutions on harboring terrorists. This is why they had the discussion. This is why they attacked Doha the way they did. They talked about it. I guess I'm probably not going to play it just for the sake. I don't know. We'll close out with it. And I'm going to play it at like 50% speed too, or 150% speed. It's good, but it'll work as far as the speed that they talk. So if you want to watch it, which it is good, again, I want to close out with that. Trump admin backs condemnation of Israel's Qatar strike. And he's basically saying, look, we don't support what he did. It didn't further peace in the region. It did not make things easier for us, the United States. And during the press conference, you'll hear it, he talked specifically about how he did this without consultation of anybody else, did it completely on their, like he owned it completely. It's 100% Israel, you know. Trump wasn't happy about it. He found out very last minute. Some drones, I guess, they've been trying to attack this airport, the Ramon airport. They blew up a drone in the sky. This is a decent video. Check it out. Yeah, that ended the day of that thing in a blaze of glory. This is the speech that I will close out with, or the press conference. It was pretty good. Like I said, I'm going to play it at faster speed. Good, it's already set to that. He does opening remarks. He does opening remarks, and they take a bunch of questions. The questions are really good. It is actually in Jerusalem, I believe, or at least is in Israel, and a couple of them are in Israeli or whatever their language is, and I guess Hebrew, right? And they answer. He does kind of translate in one case. In a couple cases, he just responds back in Hebrew, but most of it's in English. It's pretty good. It's pretty dang good. So hopefully you guys will follow up on that one, because I think it does. I personally feel like the deal we got going on with Israel, and the fact that we kind of have to follow them, and Israel's saved for last, and they're doing some stuff without our permission. Like, this is Israel wants to cause a world war, or maybe give credit if it's fair. I don't know for sure. I don't know, but maybe they are actually taking out the baddies. And they're the only people in the area that will do it and are badass enough to do it, right? And so we'll see. There's a lot of people that are very anti-Israel that are offering up a lot of opinions. There are some people that are so very pro-Israel that are offering up a lot of opinions. Some of us are just, I don't know. how to feel about them, frankly. I never liked Netanyahu. I don't trust him per se. But lately, I don't know. Like, I'm wanting to believe, but British fighter jets are supposedly going to patrol Polish airspace after a Russian drone breach. Were they hoping that the Brits will now somehow get attacked by Russia or something? This is very strange. Like, Poland's got craft. Why can't they do their own air force? Like, anyway, whatever. Russia test fires a hypersonic missile. This is kind of cool. This is a medium range missile. About 1,000 kilometers, they say. When it finally goes, man, it's like, damn, that's like, rockets away. But yeah, that gets pretty fast. Supposedly flies about Mach 9. None of this stuff has any relevance whatsoever to the video that we were just watching. But it is pretty cool. Let's do that. Anyway, so yeah, new missile, 1,000 kilometer range, Mach 9. It's really maneuverable. It's nuclear potential. And I guess this could be a ship destroyer. Oh, it could be used against... Oh, it successfully test fired a 3M22 Zircon hypersonic. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, and that actually could hit a ship. Wow, that would be, hypersonic at a carrier. That would be pretty bad. That would be a bad day for sure in the office. I think we've got probably some cool technology that they don't know we had that we've never used yet. But cutting edge Russian tank, the T-90MS tank. It's actually been rolled up to the front. Front lines. They did just do an executive, what do they call it? An exhibition. I want to say a little while back earlier in the year, I guess. Yeah. And so they literally, after the exhibition, they took it in and immediately repainted it and sent this bastard out on the front lines. So they are running. It's got some new technologies on it, meant to make it a little more drone safe. And it's still got 125 millimeter gun with guided missile capabilities. Probably looks like they still got some reactive armor on there. So yeah, this is probably a pretty good tank. Russia's made decent tanks, all things considered. It's kind of a silly tool to use in war, but oddly is being used a bit in Ukraine, right? So, yeah. A lot happening. The wars are getting crazy. Obviously, Israel and how we are involved and dragged into stuff is going to be a big question. Obviously, a lot of people are blaming Israel on killing Charlie Kirk. I don't blame Israel. I blame the deep state, and whether it was a faction within the Mossad or a faction within MI6 or a faction within the CIA or a faction within whatever the other agencies are out there, I don't think it was Israel. I have a harder time painting with that kind of broad brush. I don't dislike Israelis. I don't dislike Jews. I've had numerous friends that were Jewish. I don't understand why they insist on being Democrats. That's one thing that still just blows my mind, but whatever. That should be changing, hopefully. But there's a lot of theories around Charlie Kirk's murder, and you guys can have at them. I don't particularly want to hear them. I've heard a lot of the stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff. I'm not really interested in pretending or trying to. I don't care. He's dead. I'm pretty sure of that. And there's a bunch of people that don't believe that. I believe very much he's dead. I think it's very disrespectful to assume he's not. I don't know why you would put him in witness protection. That seems stupid. He hasn't witnessed anything. What did he witness? Nothing. He wasn't on the inside or anything like that. He hasn't witnessed anything. So to me, that seems very silly. It's the same thing happened to me when Kirsten W. died. Like, I don't know. I got a bunch of people that gave me crap because I said she was dead. And they're like, she's not dead. And I'm like, which one of you guys was texting her the day before? Because I was literally talking to her the day before she died. She sent me a picture of herself the day before she died. So I disagree. And I have actual evidence. Again, it's just weird. People are people. That's all I can say. And I love you guys. I'm doing the best I can. But we are so fractured within our own community, it's impossible to please everybody. That's for sure. I'm doing my best, guys. I love you. If you want to believe all sorts of crazy, feel free. Run down the rabbit holes. Maybe you're right. You might be. I don't know. I'm not going to claim I'm right about everything. But I am going to claim that a lot of people are running off on some very interesting tangents right now. And I'm curious to see, very curious to see, especially 3i Atlas. Very curious to see that one. Because I'm reasonably sure it's just a comet. But it is going to come really close to Mars. If it is intelligently controlled and somehow hits Mars, that's going to be pretty crazy. It will be pretty close to Mars at some point. Like really pretty close. Not necessarily close enough to hit, but if gravities are affected or if it's changing direction itself, which many are saying, then who knows? Who knows? We're going to be on the other side of the sun from it when it happens, so it's not going to be anywhere near us. It's going to be closer to Venus than us, and Venus is still a whole planet in, so whatever. We'll see what happens, guys. Again, a lot to keep tabs on, and I'm usually got my ear to the grindstone. I may not talk about stuff. Doesn't mean I haven't heard it. I do a pretty good job keeping up with a lot of the crazy stuff out there, so we'll see. We'll see, guys. Well, shit, a lot of it I talk about. Let's be honest. I'm not afraid. I'm not adverse to crazy. But yeah, we got a lot happening. Stick around for this if you want. I think it was a very, very good press conference. It'll be about 20 plus minutes at the speed I'm playing it. But worth it, I think. I love you guys. We're doing this together. Keep rippling however you ripple. Whatever you believe, ripple away. There's people for you. There's a creator for all of us. There's space for all of us. None of you guys have to believe what I believe. Ripple away. Help as many as you can. That's all I ask. Help as many as you can in these tough times. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.
Mr. Secretary Marco, your visit to our eternal and undivided capital, Jerusalem, is a powerful affirmation of a powerful bond. We stand in a time of immense challenges. The aggression of Iran and its terrorist proxies. Those who chant death to America, death to Israel. And they are not chanting it by accident because they see Israel as the front line of American civilization here in the Middle East. Well, those chants and those threats still linger, but they're a lot less dangerous now. And they're a lot less dangerous because they were met with our common resolve. And the decision by President Trump to target the nuclear facilities of Iran was not merely a militarily wise thing to do. It was also a message to the entire world that the United States acts to defend its interests and defend its allies. And America has no better ally than Israel. It's obvious that Israel has no better ally than America. You've been a remarkable partner, and our alliance, I think, has been forged for ages. President Trump says, he said to me the other day, he said, remember October 7th. That's what he said. It's like, remember the Alamo, remember October 7th. And we remember. We remember the savagery. We remember the incredible massacre of the innocent. We remember our hostages, and we're committed to bringing all of them home, the living and the dead. And we appreciate all the help that President Trump and you have given us in this sacred task. We remember Hamas, and we know that we must defeat them and ensure that they no longer are enabled to turn Gaza into a threat to Israel. They no longer should be there. Your presence here in Israel today is a clear message that America stands with Israel. You stand with us in the face of terror, in the face of the incredible, I would almost say, Middle Ages lies that are directed against us, the rising anti-Semitism in the world, and the really the weak governments that are putting pressures on us because they collapse under the pressure of Islamist minorities and incredible vilification. I want to thank you personally for your unwavering support of Israel's right to defend itself, for standing firmly against those who seek to isolate and demonize our nation. And I'd like once again to extend our deepest gratitude to a great friend of Israel, a personal friend of mine, President Donald J. Trump. The President has shown consistent leadership, moral clarity, and bold actions that have strengthened the alliances between our nations as never before. The American-Israeli alliance has never been as strong as it is now. And the President has been an outstanding global leader. He's really transforming the world to better all of us. And I can again repeat what I've said time and time again. He's the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. We will continue to act together with great force and great determination to protect our countries, and I may add to protect our common civilization, because we're engaged in a battle of civilization against barbarism. And the alliance between our nations remains as enduring and unshakable as the stones of the Western Walls we visited yesterday. We will forever cherish this friendship. And I want to say, Mr. Secretary, thank you. May God protect you, bless you, and bless your family. May God bless America, may God bless Israel, and may God bless our enduring alliance.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And first of all, let me say on behalf of the President of the United States, President Trump, I want to thank you for your friendship and for the friendship that Israel has shown towards the United States and so many issues we work on together that extend beyond the causes of war and peace, but advances in technology, advances in economics, and those remain strong and enduring and unwavering. And not enough attention gets paid to those links, the economic links, the cultural links. We're here today, by the way, later this evening to inaugurate and to open to the world perhaps one of the most important archaeological sites in the planet, and one that has deep meaning to so many people in the United States as well in the Pilgrim's Road over at the City of David. And so it's an honor to be here and be a part of that. As far as the President's been clear on the ongoing issues in Gaza, and that is that every single hostage, both living and deceased, needs to be home immediately. Hamas can no longer continue to exist as an armed element that threatens the peace and security, not just of Israel, but of the world, and that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, one that cannot begin until Hamas is eliminated and until all of the hostages, both living and deceased, are home. And he remains committed firmly to that objective. And that's what we seek to talk about today, have talked about today, and will continue to talk about, and that is the road forward on how to achieve those things. Those objectives remain. Those objectives remain in place. Beyond that, obviously, we cooperated and were involved together just a few weeks ago on the issue of Iran and Iran's desire to possess not just nuclear weapons, but short and mid-range missiles with the capability of threatening our presence here in this hemisphere, in this region, and of course the safety and security of the Jewish state. But I would venture to say a threat that actually extends well beyond that to the kingdoms of the Gulf and eventually even into Europe. In fact, some of the missiles they're trying to develop now can already range countries in Europe. And so a nuclear Iran governed by a radical Shia cleric that possesses not just nuclear weapons potentially, but the missiles that could deliver those weapons far away is an unacceptable risk, not just for Israel, not just for the United States, but for the world. And that is one. That's why the President continues with our campaign of maximum pressure. There will continue to be maximum economic pressure on Iran until they change course. That's why we are encouraged to see our partners in Europe begin the process of snapping back sanctions on Iran. They are clearly out of compliance with what was already a flawed deal to begin with. And we encourage them to continue down that road. We 100% support that. That is exactly what needs to happen. And we remain firmly committed, as I said, to the President's objective, which he's been abundantly clear on, and I want to repeat. At the end of the day, no matter what has happened or happens, the objective remains the same, and that is all 48 of those hostages, both living and deceased, need to be home. They need to be returned. They never should have been taken. What happened on October 7th was an act of unparalleled barbarism, and what's happened since then have been repeated acts of unparalleled barbarism on the part of Hamas. Hamas needs to cease to exist as an armed element that can threaten the peace and security of the region, and the people of Gaza deserve a better future, but that better future cannot begin until Hamas is eliminated. That better future and that kind of peace is not even possible until the hostages are released, all of them, every single one. And so that's what we continue to be focused on. That's what the President wants to see happen, and that's what you can count on our unwavering support and commitment to see come to fruition.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, do you think that it's possible to military disband? Thank you.
Can you just state your name and where you're from?
Yeah, sure. Hi.
Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Israel.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Rozovsky. I'm from Haaretz. And I want to ask if you still think that the military dismantlement of Hamas is possible.
Well, Hamas can surrender tonight if they want, lay down their weapons. The problem is they're a terrorist group, a barbaric group, whose stated mission is the destruction of the Jewish state, so we're not counting on that from happening. Look, I think we would all, every single person I know, I don't know of anyone who would not rather see a negotiated settlement in which Hamas agrees to no longer be a terrorist group, lay down their arms, free the hostages, by the way, not just the hostages that they're holding from Israel, but frankly, the people of Gaza that they're also holding hostage as human shields. So that would be the ideal outcome, one we would all like to see. It's one that's been worked on. But I think we have to be prepared for the fact that savage terrorists don't normally agree to things like that. But we'll continue to pursue that route. It's the ideal outcome, but it may require, ultimately, a concise military operation to eliminate them. We have to remember who we're dealing with here, and that is a group of people that have dedicated their lives to violence and barbarism. And when you're confronting that hard reality, as much as we may wish that there be a sort of a peaceful, diplomatic way to end it, and we'll continue to explore and be dedicated to it, we also have to be prepared for the possibility that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, go ahead.
מר נתניהו, האם ישראל עדכנה את ארצות הברית לפני המתקפה בדוחה? And a question to Secretary Rubio. Did you ask Israel not to advance with its military maneuver in Gaza and not to repeat of attacking Qatar?
Well, I've said repeatedly that Israel's decision to act against the Hamas terrorist leadership in Qatar was a wholly independent decision by Israel. It was a decision taken by me and our top security force chiefs. It was conducted by us, and we assumed full responsibility for it because we believe the terrorists should not be given a haven, and the people who planned the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust cannot have immunity. So we did it on our own, period.
And all I would add is that we are focused on what happens now. What happens next? What role can Qatar play possibly in reaching an outcome here that leads not just to the end of this hostilities, not just to the release of all of the hostages, both living and deceased, not just the disarmament and elimination of Hamas, but also a better future for the people of Gaza, which isn't possible as long as Hamas exists, which isn't possible as long as 48 hostages are being held. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We're focused because at the end of the day, no matter what has happened, these fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there's still a war going on, and all these things standing in the way of a better future for the people of Gaza and a peaceful end to what's happening now. So we're going to remain focused on what we can do next.
Okay. You can ask anything, but there's order. Go ahead. Yeah.
הנשיא טראמפ הביע את דאגתו בעקבות רצח צ'רלי קירק שם בארצות הברית מארגונים רדיקליים בשמאל שמלבים שנאה וחותרים תחת הדמוקרטיה. האם הנושא הזה גם היה חלק מהשיחות ביניכם על אולי שיתוף פעולה נגד ארגונים כאלה כדי למנוע חלילה רצח פוליטי גם כאן בישראל?
Well, the question was about the ramifications of the barbaric murder of Charlie Kirk. So first let me say Charlie Kirk was a tremendous friend of Israel. And he believed and discussed with me how to defend Israel, how to defend Western civilization. He actually wrote a detailed memorandum suggesting how we should do that. He saw our battle as a common one for our common values and our common freedom. He also believed in having free discourse. And he was I think, a great American patriot, a believer in the freedom and liberties that America gave to the world, and a believer in the common foundation of our civilization, which he attached to this city, this country, this land. He was struck down. I think the most important thing is to make sure that his legacy isn't struck down, that it continues to live. Now, some people are irreplaceable. Charlie was 31 years old. My own brother was 30 years old when he fell in the rescue of hostages in Entebbe. And, some of these people come once in a century. But it's their legacy that has to live on. So we're committed, I'm committed, and I know the President Trump is committed, and I'm sure that's true of Secretary of State Marco Rubio, to make sure that that legacy lives on. How to address the threats is what you're saying. How do you actually address the threats of the poisonous incitement of the people who don't believe in free speech, who believe in the imposition of their views on others, who speak of democracy but actually want to trample democracy into the dust? How to deal with that? I think it's a common problem. I think the world right now, the Western world, America, Israel, are being challenged by extraordinary violence from their political opponents within the countries. Extraordinary violence. President Trump there's been 2 attempted assassinations on him. One nearly succeeded. I've been targeted myself with death threats, which are pretty much daily. My family is targeted. And so are ministers and public figures. They're harassed. They're threatened in Israel and in America. And this is a challenge to our democracy. Democracy is supposed to be the nonviolent resolution of conflict within a society. Nonviolent resolution. The decisions are made not by bullets, but by ballots. And these people increasingly are more and more violent. And the more they speak of democracy, the more they threaten it. They basically say that the greatest danger to democracy is democracy. You're not going to have the rabble decide. I mean, these people who go to the polls, who are they? We're the enlightened ones. We're raised above that. That's the true democracy. The true democracy is to ensure that there is no democracy. And there's double talk. There's the use of words that mean entirely different things. And that certainly won't derail us. But I'm sure that we should take all the actions independently and jointly to protect our liberties, our way of life, our democracies.
Well, a couple points on, I think it's horrifying to see any human being executed before the entire world because of the social media. It was a particularly difficult week this week in the White House and in Washington because Charlie Kirk wasn't just someone who supported the president. He wasn't just someone that we were aware of. He was a personal friend to a lot of people in that White House. The president, to the vice president, to multiple people. It was a combination, political assassination, but also death in the family type event, and it was shocking to a lot of people to see. Apart from the tragedy of it for him and for his family and for the nation, really, is the irony. Charlie was one of the few people out there that was actually engaging what we need more of, and that is debate and conversation among people with strong disagreements. People know Charlie Kirk because of his role on campuses. He would go on college campuses, and he would actively seek out and invite people who strongly disagreed with him to come to the microphone and engage in a back and forth. The alternative to the back and forth is to just attack each other. It's very easy to just do podcasts and just do interviews and give speeches where you attack the other side. It's much harder to engage people whose views are diametrically opposed to yours and engage them in a debate. And he did that. But he didn't just do that on college campuses because that's what he was best known for. He did that online as well. Charlie was a frequent guest on the podcasts and on the shows of people who he did not agree with. And he had guests on his show that he did not agree with. He was actually a guest on Gavin Newsom's podcast and engaged in debate with the Young Turks, and as well as going around the world engaging in some of these lecture series with people from the other side. And I don't even say the other side of the aisle, other side of ideological divides, because sometimes it wasn't just partisan. And to see someone who was engaged in what we need more of, assassinated in the process of doing exactly that, because that's where he was assassinated. He was assassinated in the middle of that kind of discourse. I think was an effort not simply to silence Charlie's voice, but I think is an effort to intimidate and silence that kind of effort in America, and I think for the world to engage in that kind of discourse with people you disagree with. And once a society loses the ability of people with strong disagreements to engage in discourse, then the only option you're left with is either silence or violence, neither one of which is acceptable. Both are very destructive.
Thank you. Tom Bateman from BBC News. First of all, Mr. Secretary, you have very vocal anger from Arab countries, your Gulf allies, over the Israeli strike last week, accusing Israel of barbarism in their words. Isn't this a crisis now for American diplomacy? And how are you going to assure your Gulf allies, as the President says, that this won't happen again? And Mr. Prime Minister, can you give us your assessment of whether last week's attack did actually kill any of the Hamas leadership in the building? And in Gaza City, with tower blocks being destroyed every day, dozens dead daily, are you simply using the civilian population of Gaza as a means to apply pressure on Hamas?
Well, let me begin with a question you asked me, and that is, we have strong relationships with our Gulf allies. We work very closely with them on a number of things. We've been engaged with them. We've been engaged with them consistently before what happened and after what happened. And ultimately, the point we will make to everybody is that some fundamentals still remain. that have to be addressed, irrespective of what has occurred. The reality of it is we still have 48 hostages. We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. They're still a dangerous element, and as long as they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region, because they are not agents of peace, they are agents of barbarism. And it's still a fundamental fact that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, a future which is not possible until the hostages are all released and Hamas no longer exists. All these fundamentals still exist. They all still have to be addressed. And that's what we're going to remain focused on as we engage with our allies in the Gulf, is how can we continue to work together to address those three things, which we think are pillars. Solving those are pillars of the broader construct I think all of us hope for the region.
There's immense cynicism and hypocrisy in the condemnation of Israel. After 9/11, the Security Council of the United Nations passed Resolution 1373. And that resolution said that states must not harbor, give safe haven, finance, plan, or allow such actions for terrorists. It didn't say some actions in this part of the world, or some nations cannot do it in this part of the world, but they can do it in another part of the world. And of course, the United States acted very boldly against the terrorist havens that were given to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, the terrorist haven that was given to the chief terrorist, bin Laden, in Pakistan. Those countries that are condemning Israel today did not come and say, well, what a terrible thing was done. The sovereignty of Pakistan was violated. The sovereignty of Afghanistan was violated. You don't have such sovereignty when you are effectively giving a base to terrorists and a place where they can ply their gruesome trade. So it's the right of every country under international law to defend itself beyond its borders against those who would kill their citizens, murder them en masse. That is what guided Israel. What are we trying to do in Gaza? You say we're bringing down those towers to intimidate people? We're not bringing down those towers to intimidate people. Those towers are serving as Hamas strongholds. But what we're doing is we're telling the population, because we're going to take over and destroy the Hamas stronghold, they're one of the last two strongholds and the most important one that Hamas has left in the Gaza Strip. We ask you to leave. And what is Hamas doing? They're asking them to stay because they want to use them as human shields, as they've done from the beginning of the war. And we say, leave, please leave. Do leave, fast, and as fast as you can. And that's what we're doing right now. Hamas is telling them, Hamas is not only telling them, don't leave, but in previous occasions, including a few weeks ago, they shoot them. They shoot women and children in the legs, beginning with the legs, then they go higher if it doesn't work, to keep them in harm's way. So I think that to the extent that the world again is falsely condemning Israel, they should get their priorities and their facts right. It is Israel that is trying to clear the combat zones from civilians. It's Hamas that's trying to keep them in. So we'll continue to do what we can to make sure that they're out of harm's way, and we'll complete our mission, which is to free all our hostages, get them all back, and make sure that Hamas is eliminated.
And on the assessment of the impact of the strike, whether the leadership was killed in Doha?
Well, we're still getting the final reports. I'll tell you what the impact of the strike is. We sent a message to the terrorists. You can run, but you can't hide. No one will get you.
ראש הממשלה, לפי הדיווחים, לא רק שהתקיפה של צה"ל נכשלה בקטר, אלא גם נחשפו יכולות מסווגות של צה"ל בתקיפה בשבוע שעבר. אם בדיעבד אתה מצטער על ההוראה שנתת להוציא את התקיפה לפועל?
Well, I don't accept the premise in your question, which is that Hamas, that the raid failed. It didn't fail because it had one central message, and we considered it before we launched it. And that is, you can hide, you can run, but we'll get you. You can, and this is important. I mean, terrorists they think they enjoy immunity, they'll do it again and again and again. And if you deny them that immunity, they'll think twice. לכן הטענה שהפעולה בקטר נכשלה, אני לא מקבל אותה, כי הדבר העיקרי שרצינו להעביר זה המסר, שאתם לא מקבלים חסינות בשום מקום בעולם. זו הייתה המדיניות שלנו, וזאת היום המדיניות שלנו.
Mr. Prime Minister, Rob Garamer with the Wall Street Journal. Just to put a finer point on it, would you rule out further strikes on Hamas operatives in foreign sovereign countries in the region? And for Secretary Rubio, what's your message to close U.S. allies like the UK, which you plan to visit, on the vote at the United Nations to advance a Palestinian state, not just to nations overall, but some of our closest allies like the UK? Thanks.
The principle that terrorists should not have immunity wherever they are, wherever they may be, was not established by me. We had a massacre a few decades ago called the Munich Massacre, in which PLO terrorists murdered our athletes to the Olympic Games. And my predecessor, Golda Meir, vowed that we shall track down these terrorists and get them one by one, which is what we proceeded to do in the leading European countries. And we did this one by one by one. I didn't hear a great cry of wrongdoing to these countries. Even though they weren't harboring terrorists, the terrorists were there. Okay, they didn't even harbor them, as is the case in other cases. The terrorists happened to be on that soil, and we acted, which is what democracies do, including the leading democracy, when they have the ability to target terrorists to threaten their civilians. So this is a principle we established. It's a principle we follow. It hasn't changed.
On your question, these things that people are doing and these different countries are doing at the United Nations, first of all, they're largely being done because of their own domestic politics. Second of all, they're largely symbolic. They have really no impact whatsoever in bringing us any closer to a Palestinian state. The only impact they actually have is it makes Hamas feel more emboldened. It makes other elements like Hamas feel more emboldened. It actually has made it harder. It's actually served as an impediment to peace. In the past, we have seen when these statements have come out, maybe there's a negotiation going on. Maybe you think you've actually made some progress on getting some hostages released or an end to the war. And then these things come out. And all of a sudden, these groups back off. In many cases, walk away. Hamas has walked away from agreements that they actually had tacitly agreed to. But then they see the sort of international support they believe they're getting and they walk away from it. So we've warned of two things. One, it actually makes it harder to negotiate when those negotiations were occurring, and because it emboldens these groups. And the second is, we've warned them that there will be an Israeli counter-reaction to those moves, and we've seen some of that happen as well. So I think these things have actually made it harder to end this war and this conflict, not easier. And we've expressed that to them. I've expressed that to them directly on multiple occasions, and I'll continue to do it. And they're going to do what they want, and they're going to continue to do what they're doing, but I'm telling you, it's actually hurting the cause they think they're furthering.
Two last questions.
Let's take one for the foreign press and one from the Israeli.
You take it. You tell me. Go ahead. Fine.
Thank you. Secretary, I wanted to ask, I know you mentioned prior to the trip that the focus of the trip was not the Israeli plans for the operation in Gaza City, but I was wondering if you could tell us if that's something, and Mr. Prime Minister, good to see you again, if this is something that came up in your discussions in terms of the U.S. view on the announced Israeli plans for military operations in Gaza City, and what the U.S. view is about this idea of, as some have talked about, Gideon's Operation Gideon's Chariot kind of 2 or a continuation of the offensive or an expansion of the offensive potentially this month in Gaza City. Thank you.
The best way for me to put it to you is that the purpose of our conversations have been about what the president. I'll restate what the president has repeatedly said. He wants every single hostage released. He wants Hamas eliminated as a threat, and he wants to then have the United States be helpful in rebuilding Gaza for the future that's going to be peaceful and prosperous and not have elements like Hamas operating. That's the goal. Now, how do we achieve that? How do we get there? That's what we're always talking about. That's what we talked about today, and that's going to continue to be the focus of our engagement in this. We want all of the hostages out, all of them, every single one of them, both living and deceased, all of them. There should never have been hostages. This should never have happened. Okay, this happened because on October 7th, these animals, these barbaric animals, conducted this operation and against innocent people that had nothing to do with any of this. And that's why this all started. We've forgotten that. People have forgotten that that's where this all began. That's why the president keeps saying, remember October 7th. We wouldn't even be having these conversations right now if these barbarians had not done what they did. So this is what brought us to this point. It needs to end. And how does it end? It ends by eliminating the people who did it, by ending them as a threat. It ends by releasing every single hostage, both living and deceased. There should never have been a hostage. There should not be a hostage now. And then when all of that is done, then we can begin to work, I hope, internationally to providing the people of Gaza the kind of future that they deserve, but that they will never have as long as a group like Hamas exists. So that's been our focus, and obviously, we have been the focus and at the core of much of what we talked about. How do we achieve what I believe is a shared goal, not just of the United States and Israel, but of multiple countries around the world and certainly in the region who want to see the same outcome? And that's what we've been focused on. That's been the president's focus, and he wants that to all happen as soon and as quickly as possible.
You asked a question. What was the tail end of your question?
Just if you could comment about following your discussions of the past couple of days about Israel's plans with regard to Gaza City and potential expansion of the offensive there.
Well, I'm not going to talk about our tactical plans. I leave that to our military people in the field. But I have stated the cabinet's decision on 5 principles that I brought before it. And as Secretary Rubio correctly said, this war could end now. And it requires the first step for Hamas to lay down its arm, to release all our hostages. And I'll bring you the 3 other points that we put forward. The third is that Gaza should be demilitarized. Demilitarized is different from just laying down your arms, because you want to make sure that arms are not smuggled into Gaza and arms are not produced in Gaza. So demilitarization is the third point. Overriding Israeli security responsibility is the fourth point, to make sure that there's no resurgent terrorism, Hamas or from any other organization. And the last thing is to establish a transitional civilian government by people who do not advocate the destruction of Israel, do not educate their children to terrorism, finance terrorism, or launch terrorism. These are the 5 points, and we're committed to doing it. We're now, Secretary Rubio said, how do you achieve this? How do you achieve the release of the hostages and eliminating Hamas if you keep Hamas there? If they surrender, lay down their arms, then you can do the rest without battle. And at any point, if you can do something without battle, it's better. Having been in battle, I can tell you it's not a lot of fun. And to see your friends die next to you is not a lot of fun. Or maimed for life, that's not a lot of fun. So if we can achieve this by having a Hamas surrender, all the better.
One last question.
I don't know. בבקשה.
תודה. אברהם חסון, ערוץ 14. ראש הממשלה, מהם הצעדים המשותפים כתגובה אפשרית להצהרה העתידית על מדינה פלסטינית באו"ם, והאם הועלתה אפשרות לחלת ריבונות ביהודה ושומרון כתגובה לצעד העתידי?
צעד העתידי הוא צעד עתידי, אתה לא חייב לחשוף אותו לפני כן, אבל ברור שהם נוקטים פעולות חד-צדדיות נגדנו, אז פשוט מזמינים פעולות חד-צדדיות מצידנו.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Thank you. I want to acknowledge, the presence of 2 extraordinary ambassadors here, Ambassador Huckabee, American ambassador to Israel, and Ambassador Leiter, Israel's ambassador to the United States, our foreign minister, Gideon Sal, our National Security Council head, Tzachi Hanegbi, and my staff, and your staff. Yeah, all great people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.